move closer to Holy Week, which starts next Sunday, what I wanted to do is continue talking about our way shower, Jesus. Pronounced Jeshua in Aramaic. And there's a book out about Jeshua, and I don't know how much I read it. It's a pretty long read. I don't know how much of it is fiction and how much is truth, to be honest, okay? But this guy did a tremendous amount of research. His name is Lewis. Did a tremendous amount of research around Jeshua and kind of talked about how Jesus was taught what he shared. And he gives a lot of credit to Mary. And as we talk about Jesus today, what I really want to do is understand and help us all understand and feel what Jesus is and what Jesus taught. What are the main things that he taught? And there's so many that we could pick out. But I've picked out 4 today for us to look at and think about. And, you know, Jesus taught us all about compassion and love in so many ways with so many parables. And so, first of all, I want to talk about the kingdom of heaven. Jesus taught about the kingdom of heaven. And he said the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree. Mary, as the mother of Jesus, and she called him Jesse, which makes some sense, spent time with Jesus out in the garden and talked about the mustard seed. And she talked about the fact that there was a mustard seed in Jesus. And that there is a mustard seed in each and every one of us. And the mustard seed is that divinity within us. But you know, we have to know that the mustard seed is part of who we are. We have to understand that really we are totally divine, and that when we let that seed grow, we become like a large tree. And our branches reach out, and we teach others, and love others, and work with others, because that's the Christ consciousness at work. Each of us is literally a branch of the mustard seed, a branch of the divinity that we share together. And when we step into that, we start to understand why Jesus taught about the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He said, right after his baptism, that's my main goal, to teach people that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And he used many parables like the mustard seed to talk about that. And so let us look within ourselves to find the kingdom of heaven. You know, when we go through tough times, when we've hurt somebody unintentionally or intentionally, when we find ourselves feeling alone, when we feel ourselves maybe not feeling healthy and wondering what's wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with you. There really isn't. Because we are born into the human experience, and part of the human experience is maintaining health and working on our health and embracing anything that's not working. That's how our divinity within us works, and that's how the mustard seed within us grows. See, the mustard seed grows to help us heal. The mustard seed grows to help us understand ourselves and others. The mustard seed says, yes, the Christ in me is the same Christ that is in each and every one of us. And that's what I want to see in people. I don't want to see their stuff. I can really focus on that. Then I forget who I am. What I want to know, and I do know, is that what I believe is that we see the Christ in each and every person. Robert Brummett was a teacher of mine and a good friend and at Unity Village. And Robert used to start off one of his counseling sessions by saying, you know, you're not helping to fix the person. all you are doing is sitting there and beholding the Christ in them and letting that Christ come out and letting them express it. And when you do that, your counseling's done. And that made so much sense, because sometimes we get mixed up with fixing somebody and thinking we can fix them, and we can't, with the opportunity to see the Christ in them and let that bring out all the beautiful things that they have to share with us. And so the mustard seed, Jesus taught about that, and the kingdom of heaven is within. The second thing he focused on was what we call the power of thought and intentions. Paul said, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And, you know, when we focus on how we're showing up and what our intention is, we are then able to very quickly know where we are in that moment that we plan for, the intention that we set. And sometimes because we get excited, because we may get upset, because something may upset us that somebody else said, we start to react. And when we react, not the nicest things come out sometimes, certainly emotionally, right? But instead, what we want to do is stop and think and focus on how we want to show up, how we intended to show up. And when we do that, we then begin to understand the statement that Paul was making, that whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about those things. The law of mind action. What you focus on, what you think about, is how you will show up. How do we judge that? How do we know how we showed up? We look at our screen of life. What happened in that particular setting? And if it didn't feel good to us, probably we have some work to do. Now, it doesn't mean we're bad. It means we just have some learning. Because all of us, each person in this room, I know this, wants to show up to support and love one another. You don't do it just on Sundays. You do it all through the week. This place was a beehive this week, getting ready for the auction. And it was great. It felt wonderful. But you know, there were so many people who came in and volunteered and brought food and did all and brought items in. My goodness. At the first of the week, there were 10 items. At the end of the week, there were, I don't know how many, but a lot. Okay? And I was instructed not to buy any of them, but I didn't mind. But anyway, so what is it that we are, how are we focusing our thoughts so that we literally live our intentions? That's what Jesus was saying to us. And he did it himself. He showed up for Lazarus. He showed up for Martha. He showed up for the centurion. He showed up for the woman who grabbed at his hem. Jesus was there and present. You and I can be there and present. Interesting thing to me is that Jesus said, you can do greater things than I do, right? And everybody goes, I mean, when I was a Baptist, I don't think so. I've changed my mind since then. I think we do. I'll just give you one simple example. On a Sunday morning, on the internet, there are more people watching church services than Jesus ever preached to. Right? So there's one example of how we, all of us, are doing greater things than he did. Although his teachings have become worldwide, at the time, he didn't have the internet. Fortunate man. Sorry. Anyway. So he used the tools that he had, which were wonderful. But more important, he taught us how to think, how to be, and how to show up. And then another great theme of Jesus is forgiveness. It's the pathway to inner peace. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Now I want to explain that metaphysically, because that sounds kind of, preachy. And what we're talking about, what I think Jesus was saying here, is that if you do forgive other people, if you release and let go of what's holding you back from being with them, then the Father, meaning, not out there, meaning life itself, meaning the Spirit within you, meaning the higher self, will respond to you, with you, so that you can feel and experience that letting go and that experience of forgiveness. Not really important, unless we get wrapped up in it, and this is kind of weird saying, it's not really important that people ask me for forgiveness. It's nice, don't get me wrong, and I appreciate it, but it's important to them, but it's not important to me. Because what I have to do is understand that they are teaching me something, and I'm learning something from the experience of being with them, rather than they are hurting me or hindering my growth. See the difference? That shift? What a difference it really makes. That's what Jesus was saying to us. That we can forgive others. And we use the word sin. I want to talk about that for a second. Sin is making a mistake. That's what it was known about as a definition in Jesus' time. Sin was making a mistake. Now what we know in New Thought is I can make a mistake, be out of balance with the universe, and I can step into balance with the universe. Recognize my mistake. Resolve whatever needs to be resolved. Take the action necessary to respond properly. And as that happens, the Christ within me is literally growing. Jesus understood that, demonstrated that as he lived his life. So forgiveness is a pathway to inner peace. And then oneness is the pathway to survival. Think about that in today's world. Oneness is the pathway or the path to survival. The glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one even as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them even as you loved me. Jesus was talking to his disciples then, not just the 12, but the multitude of disciples that went out into the hillside to preach the word, to share the message that Jesus was teaching. And so what he was saying is that to the disciples, you and I and what I call the Father are one. You cannot be in here and be by yourself. You might feel that way, but it's not happening. What's happening is that the energy that's here, the love that you are, the light that you are, has an effect on each and every person here. You can come in here in a bad mood if you want to. Hard to do, but it does happen, I'm sure, sometimes. And all of a sudden, you start to participate and you feel the energy and you go out with not a bad mood, but feeling great. Now, the bad mood might come back going home. But just remember, you are in charge of your moods. And so we can do what Jesus suggested. We can be, and we are, what Jesus suggested, that we are one. And when the whole world gets into the oneness, when we get to that place where we all are thinking alike, not being alike always, but thinking alike, based on principles, based on an understanding of how the world can really work, and envisioning that. And that's what you represent. You're the people who are envisioning a world that works together and for everybody. And someday that's going to happen. I really believe that. I'd like to happen before I leave, but I'm not so sure about that, okay? But maybe I'll be looking at it from some distant world. Who knows? But really, we are the ones who are holding the light, and as more and more people embody that light of oneness, then we will experience the idea of survival. So as we think about Jesus and his thoughts and the ways in which he shares with us, what I would like to do is end with one of my favorite passages in the Bible. It was written by Paul, and it comes from Romans, and it's the last few words in Romans. It says this, and I want you to feel this. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, not powers, not things present or things to come, nor heights or depths, shall be able to separate me from the love which is in Jesus our wayshower. You use that affirmation every day, and you're going to go to work feeling great. It will support you because it's so true. Nothing. There is nothing, and Richard said this so beautifully, that can take me away from the power of the Christ within, which is demonstrated by Jesus our wayshower. Take that home with you. Thank you. So now let's just settle in. As you settle in, take a moment to take a nice, deep breath. Inhale. Hold it for a second. Then let it go. Feel your body shifting, relaxing, stepping into this moment. This moment that brings us into our heart space. And through the power of the heart, and how it opens us up into being willing and being able to listen to Spirit on high, to experience Spirit, to show in yourself and with others the love that you are. To be thankful for the grace that's available to us, so that when we make a mistake, we can correct it by stepping into the Jesus Christ consciousness. So this morning, I offer you this opportunity to literally be in the Jesus Christ consciousness. It's in this consciousness that we feel who we are, that we experience who we are. And it gives us power. The power of the Christ. The power that Jesus shared with us during his lifetime. And we are so, so blessed. And so it is. Amen.
Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I